Right, well, my name's George, and that's my daughter there. She's just completed this journey you're about to start of going into this exciting place called university. So she's just finished 3 years in Cambridge. She spent a lot of time working hard and a lot of time where she is there on the river rowing, and that's what she now does most of her time. My job is really to help people to be their best. In our schools, that's what we are encouraging people to do the whole time. And that's what I want you to do today in creating the best possible personal statement so that you can progress on to the university that's right for you. The first thing I want to talk about, however, is you need to think about the audience. You need to think, who are you writing this personal statement for? Exactly, they're professors. They're senior academics at the university. They have probably been studying the subject for longer than you've been alive. All right? When you were born, they were probably finishing their PhD, and they were starting to further their research after their PhD. So there's someone who is, as the admissions tutor, really focused on their subject. For most of them, actually, looking at your application is a very small part of the job. It's a kind of side issue. The main thing they are is a lecturer, a teacher in the subject that you've applied for. So, how do you think that should affect what you write? What sort of things do you think a lecturer in your subject wants to hear about? Pair at the back, just sitting in the middle. What did you think about? Again, we'll come back to that one. It's important if and only if you connect it with the subject. Because remember, you're writing for this academic. You're writing for someone who is really enthusiastic about their subject. They're not interested in much else. Right, second clip, second bit of an advice from a university. This is from Birmingham, one of our other partners.
Hi George, it's Mary Elliston here from the University of Birmingham. Just a couple of key tips for writing a really good personal statement. So your personal statement should primarily convey your interest in the course that you're applying for. So if you can get some extra reading and research done around the course that you're applying for, it will be really valuable to help you write a good personal statement and show that you're really informed about that subject area. Other things to maybe include a little bit of work experience, extracurricular activities, or volunteering that you do. Good luck with writing your personal statement, and we look forward to welcoming you after you join CATS. Thank you.
Okay, so think which of those tips applies to Birmingham and what Mary was just talking about. Write Birmingham next to the tip that you think is most connected with what she was talking about. Now, so far we've talked about this idea of the personal statement. And I want to suggest to you this is exactly the wrong name to give this piece of writing. It's not a statement. It must not be a statement. It has got to be an argument. And it's got to be the best argument you have ever written. Because this argument will influence where you go to university, will influence what happens to you next, more than possibly anything else. So it's got to be a good argument. So let's think a bit. What do we mean by the phrase, a good argument? And there's an important difference between an argument and debate. Think about it. You don't want to do a debate in your personal statement. Well, I think I'd be really good for this course because I think I'd be really rubbish at it for these reasons as well. You don't want to say why you're bad at it. You know, well, actually, I never turn up to my classes, and I'm really lazy, and I never read anything, and all I ever do is play on my Game Boy, and the only thing I really care about is football. But I bake a lovely cake. You don't want to give both sides of the argument, all right? What do we mean by a good argument? What makes it a good argument rather than a debate or a discussion or anything else? Brilliant, thank you. There are two things which make something an argument. It's evidence and reason, and they're connected. The most important one is this idea of being reasonable. You've got to give reasons why you should be offered this place rather than anyone else. Just going, please, 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 can I have a place I've always wanted to? And I have read personal statements that say that. They just get rejected. You're not writing rhetoric. You're not appealing to emotion. You're not, in that way, trying to persuade. You're trying to persuade through reason, through evidence. And it's really important that you do it in that way. And you need to think about how your subject views reason. So, let me give you an example. Are any of you thinking of applying for science subjects? Let's have some hands up. Who's thinking of applying for some science subjects? Great. Right, my friend here. If you talk about scientific method, what is scientific method? What are you trying to do? Before you do a test, think about the experiments. I'm sure you've all done this. Before you do an experiment in science, what do you need to have? Hypothesis. Brilliant. You're testing an idea. In science, there is a particular methodology, which is, right, we've got an idea, we think about how we can test it, we do the test, we see what that proves, we then might criticise the test, see if there's a better test. There is a scientific methodology. There are particular skills which someone following that methodology needs. They need to be quite reasoned. They need to be good at doing experiments. They need to be imaginative in thinking of the experiments they set up. They need to be able to form a hypothesis. Those are the skills needed for a good scientist. Those are the skills you need to demonstrate in your personal statement. And if you're thinking, I have no idea what the skills needed for my subject are, don't worry, because the university will tell you. When you look at the course outline on the university's webpage, they'll say, these are the skills we're looking for. They make it easy for you. They tell you what they are looking for. Then what you've got to do is show how you display those skills. But it's what you have done that shows you have got those skills. Don't talk about your hopes for the future. They're dreams. They say, well, I will be able to do this. Not interested in that. What they're interested in is what you have done, which shows that you have these skills, that shows you can reason and argue in this way. Evidence that proves that what you are saying is true and shows that you understand the skills that are needed for the subject, and that you can analyse what you have done and say, well, this is good evidence for this. This is good evidence for that. You are demonstrating your skills. And make sure you do that throughout the personal statement. Imagine that you have applied for maths. Anyone want to apply for maths? Any mathematicians? Brilliant. Precision is really important for mathematicians, as it is for a number of subjects. So you say, I have shown how precise I am, and then you give a lovely example. Great. But if your personal statement has 22 spelling errors in it, that shows you're not very precise and you don't check your work very thoroughly. Actually, you'd be a rubbish mathematician. You'd get rejected on that. So we look at everything when we're looking at these personal statements. So you've got to make sure it's all reflecting the skills which, saying you're applying for creative writing and you write the dullest, most methodical, boring personal statement ever. You're not going to get a place for creative writing. You've got to display those skills. You're applying for history and you don't reference anything in the past in your personal statement. You're not being a historian. Therefore, you won't get that offer. So it's really important that you display the skills that the course is looking for in this argument. And it's an argument where the conclusion is, take me. You want to persuade that person to offer you a place on their course. And remember, you're persuading an academic. They're interested in you from the head up. Right? That's in the UK. Are any of you thinking of applying to US universities? Okay, a handful. US is slightly different in that they're a bit more interested in you as a whole person. So in the UK, academically, so for universities, we really are just interested in how you think. A friend of mine who's an admissions tutor says, what I really want the personal statement to be, it's like a slice through the brain. I want to see how the person thinks. That's what I really want. He doesn't want to know anything else. He says, nothing on extracurricular activities. He says, I'm not interested. In fact, he almost says, if they're really into their football, I'm worried that they're going off playing football the whole time and not doing their physics. So when my daughter was at Cambridge, she never told her tutor that she was rowing for the university because she said they'd be really against it. It would count against me if they knew what I was doing in my extracurricular. So her tutor only found out she got a rowing blue, so she'd rowed for the university when she graduated. Okay? So not all universities are that interested in extracurricular, but I'll come on in a minute as to how you can use your extracurricular activities in the personal statement. Okay, now the comparison with a salesperson is interesting. Right. When you buy something, do you believe everything the salesperson tells you? No, I never do. Never believe salespeople. All right? Salespeople lie. That's their job. So if any of you are thinking of going into sales, you have a life of deceit and deception ahead of you. And you think, but we all fall for it. We all pay much more for things than they are worth. Any of us who have bought any cosmetics, any perfume, the contents of that bottle or that cream is probably a tenth of what we've paid for it. Right? Those chemicals are worth very little. But we'll pay loads of money because we buy into the lie that, we put some smelly stuff on and we're suddenly more beautiful. We're not. I'm as ugly then as I am now, and it's just, but I somehow feel better. It's a complete lie. Sales is slightly different, all right? So I kind of get what you've got to put yourself forward, but you've also got to do it truthfully. And that's really important. Because if you are found to lie on your personal statement, you can be thrown out of the university, however far you are through the degree. So it's really important that you tell the truth and that you are honest with yourself. Because you've got to spend 3 or 4 years studying this subject. So it's promotion of yourself. I'm slightly worried if you're thinking about it as selling, because that might get a bit near deceit for my liking. Okay, the next clip. See where on the sheet you think this goes.
Hello, my name is Craig Wilson and I'm Principal of Cats College, Cambridge. My advice for your personal statement is to make sure that you include something outside of what you have been taught in the classroom, which you find genuinely interesting about the subject. That's especially important if you're going to be interviewed by universities, because it gives the interviewer something that they can start to ask you about to get the interview off to a natural beginning. Good luck.
Okay, so there's Craig talking about reading. Now, in English, in British English, we don't talk about studying for a degree or working for a degree. We talk about reading for a degree. That's the expression. People will ask you, what did you read at university? They're not meaning, did you read Harry Potter whilst you were sort of one evening? It means, what subject did you study? And it's a bit of a clue as to how you will spend most of your time at university is in that phrase. You will spend most of your time reading, whatever your subject is. You might do other things as well. You might go to the lab. You might do some other practical classes. But most of the time, you will read. And it's really important that you demonstrate to the admissions tutor that you enjoy reading about your subject. Because if you don't, you shouldn't be going to university. Now, I'm sure if I asked you to put your hands up now, how many of you have read something related to your subject in the last 2 months? Most of you would keep sitting on your hands and go, I'm not going to admit that in public. That would look a bit sad. Don't want to do that. But I hope most of you have. Because if you haven't, why do you want to spend 3 or 4 years studying the subject? Are you really interested in it? If you haven't read anything about it. And I might push reading a little further, because most universities put a whole load of their lectures onto their websites. You can watch a lot of first-year lectures on that university's website. So you want to go and study biomedical science at a university, go and watch some of their biomedical science lectures. Check whether you're really interested. If you fall asleep after 2 minutes, maybe go and find another subject. But if you find it interesting, then think, gosh, the thing I really found interesting in that lecture was that bit on genetics. Let's look at the reading list for that lecture and read something from it and follow up my interest. Try and read one thing a week which is connected with your subject, which is taking your understanding further than whatever you've done in the classroom. Anyone reading your personal statement knows what your A-level course is. They know what you've done. You talking about that just means, wow, student has turned up to their class. Gosh, that's not particularly exciting. If you've read something which isn't on the syllabus, that demonstrates your commitment to the subject. So go through, read things, follow it up. If each week you just jot down a sentence about something that you've read, keep a little notebook, the one you've got from Macy's, perfect. Jot down, every time you read something, what it's about. What questions does it make you think of? What links can you make with what you've read with something you've done in the classroom? Jot those things down, and then when you come to write your personal statement, you've got a few pages of brilliant academic reflection to feed into it. So, read and read and read. If you get really stuck with, oh gosh, where do I start? There's a series of books published by Oxford University Press, and they're called the Very Short Introductions. They really are very short. You can read the whole book in about 2 hours. And they're written by academics as introductions to their subjects. And they're brilliant. Brilliant for 2 reasons. One is they're very well written. So I can read one of those on a subject I have no interest in at all. And I'm suddenly thinking, gosh, chemistry is fantastically interesting, because they're written to pull in the reader. And the second thing, and the particularly useful thing for you in those books, is that they have really good reading lists. At the end of each chapter, after every 4 or 5 pages on each topic, they give you 5 or 6 books or articles where, if you're interested, you can take your reading further. So they're great starting points for you to explore your subject, because you need to read. I would suggest, in some of the universities that I interview for, that really we want to see evidence of reading in every paragraph. So that's one, referencing a book, referencing an article, referencing an academic in every paragraph in your personal statement, because this is an academic personal statement. So, another little quote from another of our university partners, Exeter, and this is...
Hi George, it's Bo here from the University of Exeter. What we look for in a really good personal statement is one which has passion and enthusiasm for your subject. Your personal statement should be about 70% academic, so it should be about your subject, and the other 30% should be about your own hobbies and skills. We look forward to receiving your application in the future here at Exeter. Bye for now.
Okay, so this word, and you've probably on some of the websites that talk about personal statements seen it. You've got to be passionate about something. Now, if actually you've decided during this talk you don't want to go to university, you're not that keen on the subject really, you know your parents say you've got to apply, school's going to tell you you've got to apply, and you definitely want to get rejected, I'm now going to give you the sentence to start your UCAS application with, which will ensure you get 5 great rejections. All right? Right, anyone writing this down, I'll be really pleased, because it means you've made a positive decision not to go to university. All right? So, the phrase to start a personal statement with, if you want to get rejected, is, since I was born, I have been passionate about, and then insert the name of your subject. There are 2 reasons why this is guaranteed to make sure that you are rejected. The first is, it is a lie. You did not come out of your mother's womb going, wow, chemistry! You came out screaming, desperately hungry and needing to breathe then. All right? So firstly, it is a lie. Please don't lie. The second thing is, I can say I am passionate about anything. Chemistry. What a fantastic, amazing... You know, you have no idea how passionate I am about chemistry. I loathe chemistry. It was the only subject I couldn't do at school. It was rubbish at chemistry. My mind doesn't do chemistry. But I can say I'm passionate about it. It's not about saying I am passionate, and I would quite like to ban the word passionate from all personal statements. You know, I just like to put it into the software. People cannot write the word passionate, because what you need to do is demonstrate that you're enthusiastic, keen, excited by this subject. Now, we often use the word passion. I almost prefer the word excited, because it's what excites you, honestly, about the subject that you are applying to study, and about the subject, not what you are going to do with it. Are any of you thinking of applying for business-related courses? Okay, this can be a real sort of minefield, because often people apply for business courses going, well, I want to make my first $1 billion by the time I'm 25. Lovely, great, super, that's great. But you're not applying for a job. You're not applying to go on a TV talent show to, you know, get your startup money. You're applying for an academic course in business. Most people who do really well in business don't study business at university. Right? I met someone 2 weeks ago. She's 34, she's got 4 kids. Last year alone, she made 14 billion US dollars. She is a highly successful woman in all aspects of her life, as far as I could see. She studied philosophy at university. She didn't study business. So, and there's that difference. If you're going to say you're passionate, it's about the subject, not what you might do with it. All right? So, what is it that excites you about the subject? And this might be where you can bring in your extracurricular activities. One of the things which shows a really good mind is a mind that can make links between things. So what I want you to do now is to just think about the subject you want to apply for and your extracurricular activities and what links them. What are some of the things which, when you are playing chess, actually make you think more about your physics, or when you're debating that makes you think more about your business or your biology or your science? Because if you can make those links, that shows how exciting you find the subject, because you are making the link between what you enjoy doing as your extracurricular activities, as your hobbies, and the subject that you are saying you want to spend 3 years of your life studying. So let me pick an example. Person writing beautifully, probably writing a love letter to someone that might be making notes. What subject do you want to read at university? So biology, okay? What's some of your extracurricular activities that you enjoy? So? None. You don't do anything outside school? I bet they are. Go on. What's your extracurricular activities? Okay, well that sounds pretty academic. That doesn't sound like extracurricular. That sounds like just watching some good videos. What are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing? Playing games. Okay, it's really interesting. What's the link between playing computer games and biology? Anyone think? I can think of lots. Anyone? What's the links? Okay, think about it like this. When you're playing a game, the person who's designed that is in some way trying to recreate a reality, which they're then getting a human being to interact with. Now that requires actually an enormous biological understanding of how the human brain works. It's about how do you suck somebody into playing a game. Probably some of you spend hours and hours every day playing games. Someone has controlled you to do that. Someone's been really clever. They've used a lot of biology, a lot of biological understanding to manipulate your brain, so that instead of going out and doing something else, you are spending hours and hours on that game. The person who's designed that game, I bet, has read biology, because they've had to use those understandings in order to trap you into their made-up world. I'd say there's a brilliant personal statement waiting to be written about those links between games and biology. And if you can convince the person reading it that actually when you're playing your games, you're linking that with biology, that shows something really exciting. It shows something personal as well. It's what excites you. Let's have another one. Yeah?
So, can you define ECA for me, extracurricular activities?
So basically anything that is outside of what you do in your classroom. So it could be hobbies, it could be sporting activities, musical activities, just whatever you enjoy doing. Okay? So let's have another. Anyone want to give me a subject and an extracurricular activity they think it would be impossible to link? I like this bit because I like the challenge. Yeah.
Economics and cricket.
Oh, too easy. You have no idea how easy that one is. Okay. Right. Cricket World Cup recently.
Yeah.
Who did you support in the final?
New Zealand.
Why? I've just remembered who the other team in the final was, by the way. Right, why New Zealand? Aren't we in Bangladesh?
No, Bangladesh did not go to the finals.
Right. But why New Zealand?
Because I like England.
You like, okay, right. But why?
Because, like, they're a good team.
They lost. Just. Okay, now, the point I'm trying to make. Okay, I'll make a similar point with something else. Do any of you support football teams? Which one?
Manchester United.
Right, I'm a bit jet lagged at the moment, but aren't I in Dhaka? Why do you support? Have you ever been to Manchester? Do you know any of them personally? So wait a minute, you support a team, and do you know any of the New Zealand players personally? No. So wait a minute, you guys support teams where you don't know the people and you haven't been to the places.
Well, I have been to New Zealand once.
Oh, well, that's better than him because he hasn't been to Manchester. Right, okay. What's this got to do with economics? I am getting back to your point. We have here two intelligent, thoughtful young men who are making some incredibly irrational decisions in how they support teams. And probably both of those decisions affect how they spend their time, probably how they spend some money. Have you bought any Manchester United kit? Yeah, what a mug. It was so. What's that got to do with economics? The person who won the Nobel Prize for economics last year did so for writing a book on something called game theory. And it's the most important idea in economics at the moment. And it challenges a lot of assumptions about traditional economics. Because traditional economics has argued that people are rational when they make decisions. And a lot of those models, which certainly if you do economics at Cambridge, you have inputs and outputs and it's all like a bit of mechanics, assumes that everybody is rational. Now, what your support of a cricket team or a football team shows is you are not a rational being. Because you didn't actually come up with any particularly good reasons why you support. And you certainly were rubbish at producing any rational reason to support Manchester United. I'm sure Dhaka, there are football teams out here, that we're not rational. Now, what game theory says is that most decisions that we make, and certainly most decisions we make in the economic sphere, are not based on reason. They're based on emotion, and they're actually based on competition. This is where it goes back to your playing of cricket, because that's a competition. Let's go on a little bit about game theory, because some people seem interested in this. A friend of mine, who is my richest friend, all right? He makes a lot of money. And he uses game theory to run auctions. So he's just done the auction for the India cricket rights for TV. So various TV companies wanted to buy the rights so they could show cricket in India. This was worth billions of pounds, and Dan, my mate, was running this auction on a commission. He made about, I think, 12 million just on running that auction, one day's work. Okay, he had to do a bit of preparation before it, and he's very bright. But what he was saying, the way he ran that auction was saying, actually, when people are bidding in an auction, all sorts of things come into effect rather than just what they think is value for money. They want to beat the other people. There is emotion, there is competition. That's what game theory is about. Now, he obviously sets it up in a very clever way to maximise the amount that India cricket get out of it. But he's using game theory to, in a sense, to replicate what happens in a game of cricket in an auction and make a lot of money. That was a really easy one. I gave rather a long spiel. So anyone want to give me a more difficult one? Here.
Accounting and reading literature.
Okay. again, slightly more difficult, but not that much more difficult. Why would a company create some accounts?
Books to keep a record of their financial transactions.
Yep, but keep a record for what basis? The rest of you think, what link am I going to try and make?
Books and books.
No, that's too easy and a bit trite. When you're doing accounts, you're getting the figures to tell a story. All right? So, I have an account. We have in my company we have accountants. They come to our board meeting each year, and they literally say to us, "How much profit do you want us to show that you've made this year, or do you want us to show that you've made a loss this year?" So we go, well, we actually want to show that we've made a loss because then we can offset it against tax. It's the most efficient way of doing things. So then the accountants go away and manipulate the figures to show that we've done a loss. So recently we were selling our company. Therefore we wanted to show how profitable it was. So we sent the accountants away to go, show us how profitable we are. They showed that we made millions each year. The same accountant has also shown that we made loss. Accounting is storytelling. Accounting is exactly the same as reading, as telling a story. You're using different elements to tell a story. It might be words in a book, numbers in the accounts. But if you become an accountant, you're becoming a storyteller. See, it's easy. Anyone else want to give me a challenge?
Science and martial arts.
Science and martial arts. Okay, does someone else, that's a really easy one. Does someone else want to show what's your name?
Dimpo.
Deepo. Someone want to show Deepo the link between science and martial arts? Someone else? Yeah. No. I want them to answer his question. What's the link between science and martial
I
arts?
wanted to say environmental science.
Environmental science and martial arts. Okay. What's the link between environmental science and martial arts? Sorry? Yeah, we've got to fight for climate change, and we're going to beat people up if they keep polluting the environment. Yeah, okay. I quite like that one, really, but maybe not the academic line for the personal statements.
What if if someone was born in like a very harsh climate, then they'd be able to fight better?
Okay, so that link between behaviour and martial arts. Why do martial arts appear in some cultures and some environments and not others? Easy. So, you show your passion by making links, by connecting things and by asking questions. So, our final clip, just to think, and again, write on the sheet which...
Hi, I'm Daniel from the University of Plymouth in the United Kingdom, here in the International Office. Personal statements. What are we looking for? Well, passion is the main thing. Passion for everything? No, passion for the program of study. And also proof. Proof that you can succeed in this program of study. We will read a personal statement, but we will also teach that program, so we really want to know that you have what it takes. So passion and proof for the program of study. Maybe we'll see you in Plymouth.
Okay, so which one would you do there? So we have, just to round off, think about what are the key words on the sheet in front of you. What are those key ideas that you should be doing in your personal statement? Anyone wants to say what their 3 words are? I'll take someone in that back area. Yeah. What 3 words do you think are the 3 most important words on that sheet?
Audience.
Yep. Argue. Audience and argue are really good. Does someone want to come up with a 3rd?
Display.
Display, I like. What else? Sorry?
Skills.
Thinking about skills. Evidence. What? Reasons. Demonstrate. There's one more I want to hear. Excitement or passion. Thank you. And getting that university application in. It should be something which scares you. If you're not a bit scared by this, you're not human. All right? You're one of those characters in one of your games. You are not a human being if you're not a bit scared. But you should also be massively excited. University is a phenomenal privilege because you can spend 3 years bathing, excited in the subject that you care most about. It's a phenomenal experience. So applying for it should be something which leaves you scared a bit, excited a bit, but good luck with it. I hope it goes really well. Thank you very much for listening.